to you, beloved and holy friends. Thank you so much for joining me here again today. Give me 1 second while I open those cupboard doors just to absorb more of the sound. There we go. Check, check. A little bit better. Thank you for joining me, friends. Woo! Today's topic comes from a very interesting question that I've been thinking about today. It's this one of, technically, on a fundamental level, each and every single one of us lives within our own realities. The things we believe, the things we understand, the things we like, the type of people we have conversations with, the type of food we like to eat. Technically, we construct this reality of things that we appreciate slash don't appreciate, and then we kind of repeat this spectrum of reality within ourselves. And what I'm curious about is how the understanding of our individual realities, understanding that we each have an individual reality, and then using that understanding in a way that we can kind of come to an integrated reality, one where we're sharing a little bit more of the space, maybe that's a way to say it. And I feel like the only way to really do that is to kind of try and establish some sort of fundamentals. Like, these are the things that I find most important, and I need to try and figure out if I can get either someone else to find these things important as well, or I have to have at least their respect in me thinking this thing is important, or at least some sort of trip of that. And what would that be? How would I put that as an intention? Understanding again, I guess. Maybe integration. We've had digestion. But integration as an intention for today feels very appropriate. After this stream is over, me and my friend are going to be embarking on an adventure. Ciao, I have no business being the first comment on a Meltmore stream, unless you do, ciao. Maybe this is exactly the way the universe meant for it to be. You've given me so much slack about me not being able to catch up to comments, and here we are, all caught up, dude. Can't fall behind if there's nothing to fall behind on. So this is the way it's supposed to be as well sometimes, man. You vaxxed, bro, or you against it philosophically? I'm vaxxed, friend. No philosophical resistance to getting vaxxed. You can't fall behind in the comments if there are none. Exactly, ciao. You see, this is the big brain move. Unfortunately, right now, the Discord server bot or notification bot isn't working. So our friends don't have a clickable link for the streams at the moment, and I do feel that limits the initial uproar, if anything does. Hey Gitchy, it's nice to have you here, my friend. Thank you for joining us. But it's completely chill, dude. Never mind, I understand your capability. Oh, so before you popped in, Chow, I was starting to tell you about the fact that me and my friend are gonna go on a nani? I feel this paper got a little bit wet somehow. It did rain into the room yesterday a little bit, but nothing that's the end of the world. Anyway, like, we're going on a 5-gram monkey adventure, dude. Directly after this stream. It's gonna be a little bit much. I have this feeling. I'm trying to type, but that and biking at the same time is hard. Itchy. Stay safe, my friend. Stay safe. Like, I'll be here to read your messages after you're done biking as well. Thank you for sharing the space with me today. I genuinely appreciate your presence. And I'm a little bit, I'm not sure if I'm concerned, but I am a little bit cautious. I know that what's gonna come is definitely not going to be a lackluster or unnoteworthy, if you will, experience. Hey, Noah! Goodness, my friend, it's been forever. It's so nice to have you here. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. How have you been? How's life been treating you? I'm wondering about you as well, Chow. How have you been, my friend? How's India been treating you? Well, I think you have to put the names in the bot in again. Sometimes that happens. We had to put the names in again in our server. I tried to, that's the weird thing. But for some reason, I can't get it to respond to the prompt messages right now, Char. So I tried a bunch of times, a bunch of the different prompt messages. I went up and actually looked at the messages that I sent the previous time. Even tried to pull up the little menu. Maybe I have to do it in the general tab or something. But yeah, I'll figure it out, dude. I'll definitely figure it out. Maybe the names like disappear when they update the bot to refresh it. Maybe they're running unlimited storage because it's free. Might be like the reason I'm using like the number two bot, if you will, and that's only because the number one bot is saturated and there can only be that many servers that a bot can be subscribed to before it's accepted, or what's the word they used, verified, I think. Like you have to get your bot verified by Discord admin or something before it goes completely open source or something like that. And right now I'm using the second one, and I don't know, like the second one wasn't working, and now it's not working again. At least in my particular case, it's not working. But I'm chill, I'm completely calm about it. This is the way it's supposed to be right now. And in this moment, I'm going to be with it. Nowhere to run, nowhere to escape to. Here we are. Can we talk about the spiritual aspect of bowel movements? We've talked about it before, my friend, and it wasn't necessarily something that enlightening. I feel like it was at most just this understanding that it's this transformation of energy, taking it from one thing to another. And technically, we as human beings and our behavior, everything we do, is our means of transforming that energy. And we can do it in a lot of different ways. And I think more important than the actual bowel movement is the act of eating. With what intention are you eating as well? How much effort, I want to say, do you put in actually getting something to eat? How much do you pay attention to what you're eating? That's a weird question as well, because we don't really think about that. What do you mean, pay attention to what I'm eating? I'm meaning like just genuinely being there while you're eating. Like I find myself as well these days wanting to watch something while I'm eating something. I don't know if that's it's an aversion to being lonely. Maybe it is, but that kind of sensation, technically you're going to be using two of your senses now that is not involved with eating. You'll look at your food partially, but for most of it you're going to be looking at the screen and listening to what is being said, for example. So suddenly you're not actually focused on eating, you're just focused on what's happening in front of you, and eating happens to be a part of what's happening in front of you. And then for that reason, we don't focus on what we're eating at all. We kind of go pretty mindlessly about it. And then before we know, our food is finished. And then we still have the hankering slash want to eat more. And I think and that, is a lot more power than the actual finishing of that process. Don't you think so as well, illustrious fudge? India has been treating me just as it has treated me for my whole life, lol. Tell me about it, Chow. I'm here to listen, dude. Like, you can rant, complain a little bit with me as well. I'd love to listen to that. The prefix changed to default R2. Yeah, we use the second one too on Nelson's server and Paul's server. The prefix changed to default R2, like exclamation mark, and then you kind of do the things. Okay, I'm gonna try that. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your help, Chow. We've talked about it before, lol. Just moving bowels all the time. Can I ask you a question? How many bowel movements you do a day? Like one, two at most? Like I thought it was you who asked the same question actually. But yeah, I mean, even out of a question like that, I feel some sort of insight, some sort of intention, some sort of feeling can be derived as well. Like how do you feel about the way you've been eating things? I think that's the most important thing as well. Like I'm asking questions from personal experience, but I feel we all have these personal experiences, and even if my personal experience doesn't exactly resonate with yours, you can just focus on yours. Be like, oh, this dude is experiencing it like this. I've been experiencing it a little bit differently. And now, as a result of me knowing this person experienced it like this and knowing I experience it this way, I can kind of form now a new perspective of realization that there are more perspectives. Thank you for the energy, Angela. I appreciate you so much. How have you been, my friend? Thank you for joining me. Cookie is here as well. I'm doing well. I'm doing so well, Cookie Monster. How are you, my friend? Hey, even Heather. Thank you, friends. Genuinely, thank you so much for joining me. I'm doing so well. Thank you, Heather. I'm embarking on an adventure directly after stream. Like I shared before, but since your new friend showed up as well, I would love to share with you as well. We're going on a 5 gram monkey adventure. Oh, it looks like a lot. It's probably gonna be a lot. I'm anticipating, boys. Thank you for the helpful Heather and for the helpful Cookie. I appreciate you, friends. I'm doing well too. Thank you. I'm happy to hear that. How about you, Heather? Like, please do, friends. If you have anything to share with me. I wrote the intention of integration on this joint. Integration is going to be something that I'm going to think about a lot. I've done some pre-rolls, which I don't even think I'll be using, but the intentions that I put on them was intellect, intuition, and then on the same one, like I put 2 on them. Intellect and intuition was like 1 on each, and then the one was surrender, and the other one was rustigheid, which is the Afrikaans word for a state of calm. Like, at least if you feel you're in a state of calm, you can say, ek het rustigheid. I have a state of calm, or I am in a state of calm, if you will. An integration. I feel like I'm doing this all backwards, but maybe that's the point as well. I've been so aware of my own mind's ability to fabricate these negative possibilities for things, And it's this way of my ego trying to, I don't know what it exactly is trying to do. I'm like, fundamentally it's trying to secure its survival, right? It's trying to make sure that it stays, and it's really trying to do that as hard as possible. But I think beyond just that, it feels like it's this attempt to convince me to stop. Whatever that may be, like even life fundamentally, which is weird, because it wants you to just stop whatever it is you're doing, no matter what it is. And it can be this really weird, like, I guess it's just a resistance again that you find yourself constantly facing in life. Like, and the thing that I find most disturbing about it is how it shows up in the want to do new things. Or as soon as you start doing new things, that kind of comes in as a possibility, or as a feeling, as a intuition. I don't know, these words don't feel right, but you're just like, okay, now I need to stop. Now I've done this enough. I know how to do it. I'm gonna stop doing it. And I wonder, why that is. Why do we feel so committed to that stopping as well? What helps us push past it? You seem melancholy or introspective down today. You will write, friend, I'm doing so well. I was doing so well. I'm just preparing, Heather. I know what's coming very soon is going to be a lot, and when I experience stuff like that, it's just a lot of information, technically. When I experience that much information, I don't find myself just enjoying it, if that makes sense. Kind of in the same mood I'm right now. Like, it's not necessarily melancholy, it's not necessarily sadness, it's more active involvement in thinking slash feeling what it is that's going on right now. And technically, I have to make myself a little bit more neutral to feel into what's going on, if that makes sense. And that the neutrality can be perceived as melancholy slash down when I'm usually trying to be more upbeat. But it's okay. It's completely okay, Heather. All of it's okay. Thank you so much for asking. I appreciate your intuition and your insight, and your want to ask me as well. It means a lot. Whew. There is nothing to fear but fear itself. And even that is not exactly putting it correctly. Not exactly. Okay, so the first page that I open, the first word that I see is fear. And it goes, fear arises from the thought, I am alone, separated from my creator, yet in reality, it is the creator perceiving the creator and creating the perception that God is separate from God. Oh man. Like the best thing worth saying I could possibly open up to. Fear arises from the thought, I am alone, separated from my creator. Yet in reality, it is the creator perceiving the creator and creating the perception that God is separate from God. You cannot be separate. There is no separation whatsoever. I think it's awesome. Your emotions read on your face. Like again, Heather, sometimes it feels serious. That's the air I get to it as well. I'm like, okay, I need to be serious. This is no joking about it. Better not laugh. Better not make jokes. Better not prod something. It's just you have to be present with it. Very serious now. Pay attention. Listen. Don't get. What's that phrase? Don't lose yourself in amazement. Don't lose yourself in amazement. Stay present. Stay with it. And it's difficult, it's this literal, like, trying to keep up with something that's constantly accelerating. Did you write that? No, my friend. That is a little thing worth saying, if you will, that I took as a cutout from a book series called The Way of Mastery by Jeshua. Is the title that is written on Jeshua or Yehem. If you want to go and look it up, please feel free to, my friend. It's beautiful writing. Hey Cookie, thank you for saying hello as well, Heather. Man, it's so crazy to me how things can change, especially your mental state when it comes to anxiety or doubt or potentially wondering if things are going in the right way. Because the experience I just had, talking about fear and thinking, almost feeling a sense of fear of myself arising and being like, I recognize, I'm like, yeah, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. And then having something said like that, where fear is technically just separation. It's you creating this perception that in some way you are separate from the whole of it. You are in some way endangered because you're separate. Endangered because you're so small, endangered because you're mortal. And I wonder, like the way that Terence McKenna perceives this kind of question is this dominator culture that we kind of find ourselves in, where we have to kind of dominate one another in some way to try and find some sort of coherency or stability within a situation. And it's really concerning because it becomes this, like the title of today's video suggests, this forcing of your individual reality onto someone else, where you believe the way that you perceive reality is the ultimate slash the only right way to perceive reality. And as a result of this conviction, you want other people to believe it as well, and you'll force them to try and believe that. And technically, that is what we've done. You know, the system that we're a part of right now is literally that. It's a bunch of people that came together, that was very motivated, had this perception of how reality is supposed to be, started creating steps towards that, and then it grew to proportions where more and more people had an influence in what reality is supposed to be. And in our upcoming, like, how we find ourselves right now is like we have monolithic emotions, like prehistoric people, and godlike technology. Like, that's the contrast. We have literal monkey emotions slash needs of this world. We have extremely backwards, like, dominator culture ways of dealing with society. And then we at the same time have this godlike potential of technology. You know, to be able to reach billions of people through devices like this is, it's a bit much. It's absolutely ridiculous if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of it, comparatively to trying to reach people, if you will, with newspapers, trying to reach people without newspapers, trying to reach people just by foot and word of mouth. Like, the exponential bounds and leaps, and every single one of us are equipped with this amount of power. That's the crazy thing about it as well. You know, and it creates this loop of humanity believing it is less intelligent than it is because it has more data to suggest that. And then at the same time, because we have data that suggests something that we don't want to see within inside of ourselves, within inside of the humanity that we call ourselves, we try and strive for better. You know, like seeing someone in a state, let's say gambling, for example. You know, seeing someone in that state of mind where they literally will do anything just to get enough money to go and gamble again, and being the outside witnesser of a situation like that creates this very real sense of urgency slash concern within your own behavior, and the aversion to becoming or doing the same kind of thing. I feel the problem is that now there is this narrative that we are being told in some sort of societal way that we are certain things. You know, instead of being presented with certain things that we could be, and as a result of that make a decision to not be, we are already told, like preconceived, predetermined, told what we are. Like, oh, this is what you are, this is the reality that you should like take up, this is the type of understanding you should have about social systems, this is the way, and this is what is expected of you on a societal level. And we're like, oh, oh, this is, oh, okay, is this my reality? Okay, thank you. This is nice and easy. Oh, Cookie. They say that fear is the unknown. Do you agree? So, in a way, yes. You know, coming back to the separation thing, Heather, fear is the unknown in the same way that feeling separate, it is something that cannot be known, if that makes sense. Like, technically, fundamentally, there is no separation from it. But you can imagine yourself being separate from it. You can create scenarios that you convince yourself you're separate from the rest of it. But that is literally the unknown that you're trying to practice. You're almost forcing it, if you will. So I agree, actually, Heather, definitely. How are you, Kira Bird? Thank you for joining me, my friend. It's so nice to have you here. How are you doing, my Burby friend? How are you doing? I feel like I'm already in deep. Like, there is a little bit of a monkey adventure coming directly after the stream, and I'm I'm trying to prepare myself in any way that I can. I've missed you, as I've missed you as well, my friend. That's why I want to share as much as I can with you while you're here. Send me some good vibes, please. I'm gonna need them. I'm gonna need them. This is going to be the most intense experience I've embarked since I've returned from China. Yeah, yeah. I could say that. Yeah, that's about right. So I've been preparing. I've been preparing. Sending love. Thank you, Toasty. Yo, thank you, dude. I need your love as well, man. I've been seeing 11 all over the place. Thank you for joining me, dude. Kira, the best type said, thank you so much. Oh, blushing is here again. What are you about to experience? I'm about to experience a 5 gram monkey experience. Maybe a little bit more than 5 grams. Maybe a little more. Because the way that I ended up weighing it out was by balancing. Uh, Technically, my friend is into Harry Potter. Christian's into Harry Potter, so he has this wand. What do you call that wand, Christian? What do you call the wand that looks like a sex toy? The elder wand. I'm sorry, friends, I'm triggering you as well. So he has this elder wand box, and like I was looking for something straight and long, to like use like literal piece of metal as a balancing point, as like a pivot, literally using a coin as my counterweight, weighing all of these individual little monkeys out. And yeah, like it might not be perfectly accurate. And the coin that I use is like 9.5 gram coin. So I had to add a little bit extra. It's gonna be just me and Christian. Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be something, dude. I'm gonna think about you, friends. Send as much love as I possibly can. Positive energies. Oh, thank you so much, blushing. I appreciate it. Hey, what are you doing? KS, we're having chats. We're preparing, anticipating, contemplating what's to come. How about you, friend? What's up with you? It's a bit overwhelming to think about it. The possibilities we have that we might not see. The possibilities we have that we do see but feel are impossible to realize. Like sometimes we kind of. Oh, a little kid is crying. Like we kind of have these imaginations of how things could be, how things should be sometimes even, but we kind of commit to believing that those things are impossible just because they're a part of our realities. Instead of trying to share that as a possible reality, we kind of just snuff it out, stuff it under the pillow, shove it down, if you will, instead of trying to express it or realize those sort of realities for ourselves. You've had monkeys before, though, yeah. Oh yeah, blushing. A lot. More than I'd like to admit. Probably, yeah, more than 50 experiences at this point. But never this, well, once, but that was the holiday. This is probably going to be the most intense one. I feel like it's this runner up, like I see this big ass dude with a bat just waiting for me to show up. Oh, this guy. Hey, my friend Burry. It's nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us, genuinely. Ego gets in the way. The untapped is there if we try hard enough. Is it just the ego? Is the question that I'm wondering about, though, blushing. Because I feel in some ways it's modesty as well. Is modesty an egoic thing? It might be. You can have a modest ego, right? So maybe, I think it could be actually. What about sound out? They've opened up my mind to a lot of peace. I appreciate that compound as well, but because I genuinely we call it lions, by the way, blushing, like And DMI is meerkats. The mash is monkeys, obviously. Lions is the one that you just mentioned, and then the big daddy Dimitri is dolphins, and that's kind of the way we kind of mitigate, just so that we don't talk to kids about stuff like this, possibly whatever. But like I've had a bunch of very good lion experiences as well. The biggest problem that I have with it is just the fact that I don't know exactly what I'm getting. Like if things were more legal, if things were a little bit better regulated, if you will, and you could know factually, like 100%, that what you're getting is the actual compound that you're supposed to be getting, then I would have more. What's the word I'm looking for? Maybe less would be the better word. Less anxieties around playing with lions. But with, monkeys, I can literally see the fruiting body. So there's nothing for me to worry about because I literally see with my eyes the things that I'm using. Dolphins, gotcha. Yeah, the first the first of this month, I had a dolphin experiences with these friends as well. It was, it feels, weirdly enough, like everything that I remembered. It felt like I didn't learn that much new information, and that is something that's a little bit weird to me. At first, it was a sign of like a you go type of feeling, if that makes sense. It was like I felt some sort of certainty within that. And then, kind of like as I went on with it, for some reason, I was questioning that more and more, and asking myself the question of, do I actually got it? And then that kind of put me through a whole rabbit hole. And I feel like that maybe was the point, at the end of it. It was this interpretation that I got it. And then because I interpreted it in that way, I was like trying to pull that interpretation, apart. I was trying to convince myself, or maybe not convince myself is the right word. Maybe just I was trying to be less naive and trying to pick apart this suggestion that I put forward in my mind. And as a result of that, the first week was a little bit rocky, and I was like going through a lot when it came to the integration slash experience of that. And then that weekend we went to Christian's dad's place. It was a really great time. Last weekend we had an experience also with monkeys on the Friday night, a little bit less, with Yuan joining us on that night, and it was a very beautiful one. And it kind of brought this intention slash understanding into my life again, of how we all have these literal sets of infinity, labyrinths, entire mazes with inside of our own beings, inside of our own minds, if you will. And the crazy part about that is that there's 7.8 billion of us that has these entire realities, labyrinths, mazes within inside of them, and how you integrate that. It's a question that I've been asking myself, and one I've been pondering. And yeah, it's led me to be where we are right now. Going even deeper, questioning even more, trying to gain some sort of understanding. Instead of gaining the feeling of, oh, I know this, I want to not know. I want to be baffled. I want to be completely flabbergasted. And you friends do that as well. So I appreciate you. I understand, yeah, lions is hard to predict because of the source. Yeah, I had 4 experiences, but it's helped a lot. Interested in the other animals too, but I haven't tried. Take your time blushing. There's no need to rush, especially with these things. Fortunately, they can be kind of anti-addictive. I feel lions as a little bit more droll in some senses, but all of these compounds, well, meerkats unfortunately can be pretty addictive. But the actual psychedelic compounds can be pretty anti-addictive because they create such a sense of turmoil. Like you're literally putting your brain through a boot camp. Like you have to be mentally ready for something like that. It's not, oh, I'm gonna do this thing and then it's just gonna be a easy peasy. I'm gonna see some, cute fractals and then it's gonna be that. No. Sure, maybe you're going to see some fractals. Maybe you're going to see your entire reality as a fractal, including your entire life, the decisions you made, the decisions you're going to make. And then dealing with that amount of information, seeing yourself as this technically a being of infinity, and being able to come to terms with that, being able to understand, why you've made the decisions you've made, being able to understand how you need to make decisions going forward, how you're supposed to move past certain trauma, certain understandings of why you're doing these things. Like, that's the real good stuff when it comes to psychedelic experiences. The actual experience, the beauty that can be elicited from those experiences, I believe are secondary, to the actual mental, emotional, and personal work that these things can potentially allow you to do. And the integration, again, that is our joint intention as well. The integration of these things are the most important part. Like the day afterwards, if you can have a friend just to kind of talk to about this stuff, literally just ramble, get everything out that you want to get out, and have them be somewhat of a mirror, ask them for their opinion on things if you want it. And learn in that way, from your experience. That's the, the true beauty that can be elicited from these things. Not so much the experience in itself, but what you can learn from it. You literally, you learning more about yourself. I hope it's good to you. Thank you so much, Blushing. I appreciate your love and intention. Interesting angle. I'm happy you appreciate it. And thank you, Kira Burr, for your piece as well, my friend. Oh, for sure. I don't do it lightly. I haven't done it since right before the pandemic in 2020. So almost 2 years. It was a beautiful, life-changing experience. I haven't had to try it in the current state of the world, even though I have some. You see, that's the crazy part about it for me as well. Blushing. I have about 5, maybe 6, between 5 and 6 full-blown dolphin experiences. Like I have access to it, or like it's close, if you will. But I've not wanted to. I'm like, okay, you have your space, I have my space. It's not something that's addictive. It's not something that you want to do over and over and over again. And that's the beautiful thing about these things. And that's, I believe, fundamentally why they've been made illegal as well. Is because not only can they completely disassemble every single inkling of reality that you have, including the social conditioning that has been placed upon you your entire existence. At the same time, it's not something that's addictive. It's not something that can be utilized in a capitalist way to get you to give more money to this capitalist machine. And in that, it's this fundamental understanding that we have to make a choice. Like, I feel like it's difficult to say we have to make a choice because so many people are so ingrained in believing the government has the best wishes for its citizens. Like, the government don't make these things, or the government hasn't made these things illegal because they're concerned you're going to jump out of a window. Like, people do that because of, the depression that they experience as a result of this capitalist society that we find ourselves in. The government doesn't care, about you in that case. But it does care if you are going to try and expand your consciousness into a way of understanding that you're so much more than just a cog in the machine, just this little insignificant material thing that happens to find itself on Earth, and you have to be thankful to have things to eat and have a place to live and have a job to just put your life into. That's the narrative we've been given. And as soon as there is something that can interrupt that narrative, can disrupt that narrative, can give people some sort of inkling that that narrative might not be true, never mind be the narrative that they want to live in their lives, obviously we're going to want to make something like that illegal. It's the most dangerous thing for your power system, fundamentally. Is ayahuasca similar to any of these, or would you try it? I would 100% try ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is the oral form, something you drink of dolphins. But it also has an MAOI inhibitor, monoamines oxidase. Technically, it's a compound / enzyme within your body that as soon as it recognizes a dolphin molecule, it destroys it because it's an intense experience, very much so. And then when you drink it as its ayahuasca form, technically you're drinking both the active compound dimethyltryptamine alongside the NMO inhibitor, which combines into like an active 4 to 6 hour experience, which is very intense. Technically dimethyltryptamine, technically 5-MeO dimethyltryptamine is this one, but like dimethyltryptamine is the most powerful psychedelic on planet Earth. It sucks because since it isn't addictive and it isn't something that you can consume over and over again, like alcohol or cannabis, they're going to push that price up high and make it unavailable for many people who need it but can't afford it. Ooh, Seed Fiend. That made me sick a little bit. Not your comment, just the possibility of that being a thing. I hope not. You know, technically, fundamentally, these things aren't that expensive to manufacture. You know, that sounds yikes to say as well, but like, let's just talk about psychedelic monkeys. You know, for now, you have a substrate. You know, you have technically grains, which is you can literally use a pack of popcorn. You have grains. You have a bulk substrate, which is like manure and grass, or manure and coca coir, or coca coir and grass, or coca coir and vermiculite. Literally super cheap, super basic, like gardening ingredients. You add water to that, you add something that's alive to that, and it does what life does. It goes through its reproductive cycle, and you create these fruiting bodies that give human beings experiences. So fundamentally, I hope that if things get to the point where we are allowed to experience our consciousnesses through our own divinity, I hope alongside that kind of shift slash revolution, we have community-based. This word has a little bit of yikes connotation to it, but community-based shamans, literally people in your immediate community that have the know-how and have the willingness to actually create these things, and then also have the compassion and intention to share them with their immediate community. And I hope because of that, it won't be a like price gouging thing. At least that's my genuine hope for it. So glad I finally woke up early enough for your streams, my brother. Kira Burr, you sleep, my friend. If you need to sleep, sleep all you need to. I'm sending you love and energy nonetheless. I just appreciate you being here so much right now. And that's what it's about. Us being here right now. You know, if you're sleeping and I'm here right now, then you're where you are right now. And I'm going to be where I am right now as well. We are never separate. We just get to know even more connection right now in this moment. I think it's like you said, the government doesn't want us to have that experience. It can be, dude. Like, you know, the weird thing to me is as well, is that technically with the whole Nixon thing, you know, like Nixon was the one that created this war on drugs during this revolution where people were no longer fighting in wars. Like they were having these psychedelic experiences and then coming to a realization that going to another place and then killing other people who are technically just themselves in other bodies doesn't make sense. You know, logically it doesn't make that much sense. And then this entire subset of, you know, like tryptamines, you know, psychedelics, if you will, got demonized. And they got created and put into this class of something that is extremely addictive and has absolutely no means or medical benefit, which is absolutely fundamentally false for these compounds. And we know that now. You know, we're literally actively having data come back that that is 100% false. It's a matter of time. You know, I believe it is just a matter of time. Blushing. Big fan. Thank you, Cooper John. I'm a big fan of yours as well, my friend. I appreciate you joining us. I don't think I've seen your username before, but I appreciate your love, genuinely. Do you know Yogananda's teaching? I can't say that I do, actually, Blushing, but it sounds like a wise being as well. All that purging, I think, would be exhausting, but possibly so therapeutic. You don't necessarily have to purge. If you're talking about the ayahuasca experience, Heather, interestingly enough, you know, like the purging usually is not seen as a bad thing either. In that context, purging is seen as a good thing because you're, in the word, purging bad things from your body. But you don't have to, weirdly enough. You know, like it's not something that's guaranteed. Some people don't purge. Like I'm hoping, like please. Please let me be one of those people when I get there. I really don't like the idea of purging either, Heather, but I'm trying to keep myself in mind that it can be a good thing. Mm. Sea Fiend says there aren't much to manufacture, but it's a lot to power and secure those buildings. Hire the people, get the licenses, and then grow it, extract it, package it, ship it out. Worked at a commercial cannabis facility, and there is a lot of work. There's a lot of work packing, plus it's more expensive for the people to stay on subscription drugs and something that could actually help someone. Yeah. You see, in that case, Seed Fiend, and I thank you so much for like sharing your experience and your background perspective working in these industries as well. I feel because prescription medication is so expensive and you kind of have to, you're required to take it like every single day, even if these potential psychedelic experiences will be more expensive, they'll still be more, I want to say accessible, but accessible isn't the right word, more financially feasible slash more bang for your buck. I know that's a horrible way of saying it, than taking, for instance, SSRIs. So, like right now, the data we have is that the antidepressive slash anti-addiction properties lasts between 4 and 6 weeks. On the minimum. It can last indefinitely, but in people with extreme depression, that's the numbers we see right now. So instead of taking a daily SSRI, which can rack up, a lot of worth or money, if you will, very quickly, going for like a once every 6 weeks, once every month, if you will, psychedelic treatment would make more sense in my personal opinion. At least that's what I hope. That's what worked for me. Like I was also on SSRIs, and that's literally what helped for me. And I genuinely hope that these things are becoming more and more accepted, more and more tolerated, and as a result of that, more and more people will be able to get help because of that. Ooh, you just feeling contentment and understanding is lovely feeling. It really is. Completely right, blushing. It is absolute love and absolute understanding if I had to describe it. You are that. That's the fundamental thing, blushing. Like the compound isn't giving you anything that you don't already have. Like we were trying to put it into words, but it's so difficult. It's like being a vessel of intelligence or a vessel of information, and then the way your vessel is shaped, like let's think about it in the case of water. The way your vessel is shaped is going to be the shape that the information that's poured into it is going to take. And then having this realization that it is absolute love and absolute understanding, when you have this increase in information, is an understanding of yourself, blushing. It's a fundamental understanding of what you are. You are absolute love, absolute understanding. And it's too much. It's too much in the way where being in a state of absolute understanding and absolute love kind of takes you away from the ability to live in a linear way when it comes to this like life existence and what we're supposed to do and what is expected of us, and being a responsible adult. So we've basically developed this consciousness that is a limitation of that. Quite the contrary, the ego convinces us that we're even less than that, and it continues to convince us, oh, you're so little, you're so nothing, you're so stupid, you're so fucking ugly, you're so this, you're so that. It's just this ego trying to make you smaller and smaller and smaller, because the fundamental understanding that you're all of it is too much to deal with almost. So it's trying to find that balance within the middle of it somewhere. The connectedness is overwhelming too, in the most beautiful way. It really is, my friend. Thank you, Mel. That is very sweet. I am love and understanding. You are, blushing. You really are. I hope so. Seeing how the government is with cannabis and pills, they like to control and make things as small as possible to create reliance. It's like how our food supply is now. High prices for less food makes you reliable on their system. But I'm hopeful. Don't get me wrong. Oh, I agree, Seed Fiend. Like we find ourselves in a state right now where things are so interconnected and so contrived. where like a small disruption in one part of the country, or one just country rather, can literally have ripple effects on the entire industry's food chain, supply chains of multiple different things. And it's in this way where we are both the most advanced, like civilization that have possibly ever been on this planet, and also one of the most fragile because of our interconnectivity. And it's this weird, like, back and forth of understanding again that we are these individuals, and then understanding we are a part of this very large whole, and then influencing on an individual level this like large whole isn't really something that is computing properly. We don't actually understand just how much that means, and as a result of that, we squander it. We don't realize how important that is, how wonderful that is fundamentally. I've never thought of it that way, but I'm about to cry at the realization. Thank you for your words. Blushing, thank you for being here, my friend. Genuinely. Like, this is what it's about. Like, if it wasn't for you, friends, still sharing this space with me, I wouldn't be doing anything, fundamentally. I'd just be sitting and talking into an empty room. But you, friends, being able to receive these words, being able to live into your felt fact, your immediate experience, that's what it's all about. So, genuinely blushing. I give all of the honor unto you. The cost of prescription drugs is so mind-blowing. My mom has cholesterol disease, and her meds, one pill per day, is nearly $90 a month. $900, sorry, not 90. $900 a month. $900 a month is the salary of a teacher in South Africa. Like, maybe a little bit more than the salary of a teacher. Literally your entire salary that you have to get yourself a house with, get yourself a car with, pay your bills, buy food, dress properly. In South Africa, a teacher earns less than $900 a month. And they are expecting your mom to pay that per month for a pill, one pill a day. And it costs them, no more than $30 to manufacture that. Probably less than $30 to manufacture whatever's in that pill. I mean, for the entire bottle. Been lurking, feeling quiet today, but sending all my love. Jovan, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you. Thank you for the love that you share. Lurk away. I'm feeling like I'm lurking within myself. It's my ego trying to find, one of the most sticky places to wiggle itself into. But I'm like, no, bro, I'm coming for you. Get you out of there. Absurd, really is. I know, right? Like, what are you putting in the pills? 30 pills for $900 is bonkers. I get overhead, but geez, yeah, that's just manipulation of market, creating false scarcity, and then exploiting people who have no other means but to be exploited. That's fundamentally evil. I completely agree, Heather. I'm working in a Walgreens pharmacy, and I was disgusted with myself. A couple of weeks worth of diabetes meds for some people with insurance was $400. Yeah, insulin. I believe there's some states that's capping like the monthly insulin prescription medication, or like worth that you need, just to stay alive. Something like it's $50 a month. That's the most that you're allowed to pay. And I believe that that's genuinely the way it's supposed to be. Like, the craziest part about insulin is the dude that actually figured out how to manufacture / extract insulin literally made the patent available to the entire world, because he knew that this is something that's fundamentally essential to the future of human life. He was like, here, free, take it. And now we find ourselves in the situation where companies have monopolized this fundamental resource that some humans use to stay alive. Literally, they stop using it, they die. And they have to pay absolutely, like, literally life expenses every month just to stay alive, on top of having life expenses. And I'm just like, how are you doing this to people? How is this so broken? Ludicrous. It really is. So I have a question. I have two friends who haven't done any psychs, But I feel like a little bit of shrooms would be wonderful for them. They're pretty uptight and kind of live life black and white. I think it would be really good for them as well. See, like I'm go and talk to them about this. Obviously, don't do it against their permission. But I feel like a 1 gram experience, per person is something that isn't too much. It isn't something that is going to completely destroy your black and white view of reality, but it might just show you that there is a gray. That it might be like, oh, maybe there is gray. And then they'll be out of the experience before that is too much for them to handle. And then they get to think about that. Like, oh, maybe there is gray. What if there is gray? What does gray mean? If there's gray, what does it mean about me? Like get them to have those questions, and then you can provide it for them as a alternative resource if they want to go deeper into what gray might be. That's like the EpiPen crisis, something that you need to save your life in an instant, can't afford it. It is like people being literally turned away from hospitals because they don't have insurance is also something about my mind, Heather. I've tried to explain the feelings of it on a small dose, but they're scared that they would become brain dead. Yeah, brain dead, or they're scared they won't be themselves anymore. They'll lose control. That's one of the biggest things. Oh, I'm gonna lose control and not be myself anymore. I'm like, no. Quite the contrary. You might be more yourself than you've ever been. You ever realized you could be. But people are scared of change, unfortunately. See, how do you explain it more? Last time I asked, she texted me back saying no with a period at the end. I mean, like, don't push, especially as you see. Like, if you push, it becomes even more of a thing that they identify with their ego. Like, oh, I'm this solid, immovable object, and you see it as this, unstoppable force, and I'll show you, and you're like, oh yeah, I'll wear you down. But then they become more and more identified with being that immovable force. They become more and more identified with being the person that says no to this thing. If you want to explain it, if anything, man, like I know that not everybody thinks in this way, but I'm mildly autistic, so it helps me to kind of literally visualize it. Show them the molecules, show them what their body produces, the serotonin molecule, and then show them how, for instance, a psilocybin molecule looks like. And then be like, this molecule your body produces, our bodies right now, in this moment, are producing it, based on my facial expressions, based on the words you say. Serotonin is like both produced and exchanged based on the information that we're receiving. And as a result of that, this little molecule plays this role of information regulation within our bodies. Then you take this little fungus that grows out of, cow poop, and it literally contains a molecule that represents your naturally produced serotonin, almost 1-to-1. It has a little phosphate group on it that gets phosphorylated in your liver, and then it's almost like, exactly, it has like a little carbon, small little carbon attached to it, and that's it. Otherwise, identical. And then you experience this increase of information within you as the vessel. You still are the vessel. You're the one experiencing the thing. The thing isn't giving you an experience. If that makes sense. It's you experiencing yourself with this amount of information. That's the best way that I would think to explain it. Then on that freaking note, I appreciate your love. I appreciate all of you friends. Thank you for co-creating with me today, for sharing this space with me. It means more than I can say, and I appreciate you. Love you. Wish me luck. And I wish you luck as well for the rest of your day, friends. Have a good one. Oh, Jovan. Love you, my friend. Bye-bye. Love and miss you, bro. Love and miss you too.